Alright, welcome back. This is the second video where we're building the template that we use for our resource management report, putting the status of funds, the selective transaction history, and workdays all into one report for the entire year. Wanted to go over one thing real quick. Somebody might ask, where did all these values come from? You've got all these commodities, all these definitions. Where that came from is we just typed them in. So some things are standard, like the commodity, right? So commodity F, master cooperative agreement, that's what that is. However, it doesn't come in 4 different varieties. Those varieties or those differences are things that we choose to enter in there. So if you see these tables in the template with these values or these names and they don't apply to you, just get rid of them. Apply them to the things that matter to your situation, because these are what you're going to use to name and define your data whenever it comes in. So the thing that makes this tool work, as opposed to using VBA or Visual Basic for applications in Excel, is that we're going to use Excel tables, which we've shown you. We're going to use named ranges. We're going to use data validation. And we're going to allow you to intuitively select how you want to define your data without feeling like you have to know how to code or change code or anything else like that. It's going to be as simple as looking at your PATEO or line of accounting and then selecting, is this BACA 1? Okay, what commodity is this? What resource center does this line of accounting belong to? Okay, it's BOC. What am I labeling this PATEO as? And then if it's a further breakdown where you want to really get into the nuts and bolts of what's inside of that commodity potentially, you can do that as well. So the way we do that is we build a PATEO table. So first we're just going to copy this here, these labels across. We want consistency, and I'm going to paste the values, and in this first one I'm going to label the PATEO. Alright, and you may have guessed I'm going to Control T, and my table has headers, and say yes. And so now we have a PATEO table. So just like before, I'm going to label this description table. Alright, now when we pull in data, we are going to push together things like your operating entity, your resource centers, all of these things, the things that you need to look at to be able to say, hey, what is this line of accounting or PATEO referred to? Now, if you can do that, then we need to give you the ability to select in there and tell what is this. So instead of having you type in here BACA 1 and hopefully we don't make any spelling mistakes or anything, we use what's called data validation. Now, if you've seen little drop down boxes in an Excel sheet before, that's data validation. What we do here is that we're going to use a combination of data validation and dynamically expanding tables and ranges to have those drop down boxes for all of your lines of accounting or your PATEOs, so that as new PATEOs come in, you will just copy and paste and define those PATEOs. Or if you see that you need to report on your existing PATEOs differently, instead of going in and writing code or rewriting code and hoping you get the logic string right, you can just come in here and select a drop down box to change it, and your reports will update. So let me show you how this data validation works and how it expands dynamically for you. So in this table, we've talked about this already, so I'm going to select this range here, and I'm going to say data validation, and data validation is going to come up with this box, and it's going to say allow, validation criteria, allow, and I want it to allow a list. Now you can type in yes, comma, no, comma, and that'll be what's in your list, or what we're going to do is take advantage of those named ranges. Now the reason why we did named ranges is because I cannot type the name of a table in here, but I can type the name of the range in here. So I'm going to hit equals FC list, and if this is correct, if I named it FC list, and we'll go back and check, then what's going to happen is going to allow my drop down list to have what's in the FC list. So let me hit OK. Now let's check to see if this worked. There it is. That's exactly what we wanted to see. So remember that formula name managers? Let me find FC list. FC list is everything in the funds control column of the FC table. Let me go back to my tables here. Funds control listing here. Alright, and so I'll show you the dynamic properties of this. I'm going to select in the very bottom one and tab. Tab also expands your tables. So I'm going to type in new FC and come back to my Pateo description table. And whenever I hit this drop down, if everything worked properly, I should have a new option. And in fact I do. New funds control. That is exactly what I want, and you'll see that in every single one of these: new funds control, new funds control. And that's how we're going to manage our lines of accounting as we have our Pateos and as we define these to build out our reporting. That is the exact functionality. So now all I have to do is expand that to commodity, resource center, BOC breakdown, and sub-commodity. And let's see if I remember my naming conventions. So select this first one and I can hit Control Shift down arrow. Now the keyboard shortcut for that is Alt DL will take me to that, and I can hit Tab L, tab. That gets me right there. So equals COMM list and hit OK. Let's check if I got it right. Looks like I did. Control Shift down arrow, Alt DL, Tab L tab, and then that's RC. So RC list. You can see how that consistency in naming hopefully helps me get these right. Select the whole range and hit Alt DL, Tab L tab, equals BOC list, and OK. And then the final one is going to be subcom, so I think I named it Alt DL, Tab L tab, equals subcom list, and hit OK. And these lists will work the same as everything else. So as your Pateos or lines of accounting change, update, you want to report on them differently, that is all you got to do at this point. So is to go back into the data tables, expand this table, add whatever you want to add in there. Now you can sort, and that's how it'll come down on the list there, and then select that. And we'll come back to this and you'll see exactly how this works. I'm just trying to show you now how do we add the data validation. Now obviously you're going to have more than, let me select all these here, you're going to have more than this many. So once this range expands, alright, now I have a drop down in this new one, and that's pretty sweet that it does that. The template will come with a couple thousand records or so of these filled in for you already. Last thing we're going to do here in the dashboard is to come in here, and I'm going to give you some lookups, and we're going to utilize that EEC to OC table. Since we have it, we're going to utilize that table and give you the ability to kind of say, well, what does this EEC mean in terms of an object class, or what is the definition per DQS? So again, instead of typing all this in front of you, I'm going to take this here and just copy and paste the values, but I will show you the formulas and how they work. So I'll just go ahead and copy and paste this here. Let's see. No. Alright. And I'll expand this out. Sometimes I would or wouldn't do this, but in this case on the dashboard, doing text wrapping and things like that is okay. And what we're going to put in here later is going to make it okay too, because we're going to give you a way to see which Pateos if you have new Pateos. So you can see here that's a paste values. I'm going to delete that. EEC to OC lookup. Now what we're going to do here is a VLOOKUP. I have that big old list on the formulas table, right? Remember? So I'm going to say equals VLOOKUP. And what's my lookup value going to be? My lookup value is going to be this right here, eq to OC. So I want to be able to type in eq in and get an OC and the definition of what both of those mean. So I'm going to type in VLOOKUP, and I'm going to look up upper. Why upper? Some of these things in Excel are goofy, right? Upper makes sure that it is a text value. So I'm going to type upper for A3. And you can hit F4 if you want to lock it in. So that's my lookup value is A3, and we're making sure it's text. I'm going to hit comma. Now I could go way over to this table again, but I'll come back and show you. We named it, so this is going to be a lot easier. I'm going to type in E, and see already it knows I want to look for that name table. That's all I have to remember is that simple name I gave it, the eq table. And then I want to look in the third column because I want to give a definition. And I want to hit 0. It says true or false, approximate, or exact match. I want an exact match, so it's false or 0, and hit enter. I'm going to expand this down, and it's already text wrapped for me, so that's what I want to see. So that's exactly how this first one worked. So if I come into here, I'm showing you the template itself, but that's all we did. That's the formula for that. Now this is also dynamic. So a quick way, once you get one formula right, copy that formula. I'm going to hit escape and then paste it right into here. Now I'm still looking up A3 because that's my eq lookup value, and this is the eq to OC lookup. But instead of the third column, since it's column index, I can select in here and be in edit mode, and it kind of gives you these tool tips. VLOOKUP, what am I looking up? Okay, what table am I going to go look it up from? And then which column am I going to return? And then I tell it which column. So in the eq to OC table, if you go back and look at that, the very first column are the eqs, the second column is the object class, and the third column is the definition. So in this first formula, I wanted the definition. In the second formula, I want the object class. So there it is. So the next one we're going to do is a little bit different. I'm going to come over here and copy this again. And if you remember, I talked about some lookup functions that we do. We can do a VLOOKUP, which what that does is that if I come to a table, VLOOKUP always wants to look up from the leftmost column. So if the eq weren't in the leftmost column, it's going to give me trouble. It's going to be like, I can only look farthest to the left and return something to the right. So the flexibility that you can use is called an index and match function. So whenever you don't have that perfect setup like that, we'll use what we call an index and match. So the way that we do this is, and I'll kind of build the formula out for you. So I'm going to go ahead and equals index. And so it's giving you a few options here. There's many different combinations for this, but I'm just going to kind of do a VLOOKUP with an index and match with one table. So what's my array? I'm going to come to this table, and it's in this case I'm going to point down to this. So I'm indexing this particular column in this table. I'm going to hit comma and then match. So index match, if you've ever heard of that, this is where it comes in. Index match. Match returns the row number of whatever you're looking for. So right now I'm going to come back to my dashboard, and I'm going to say match, and match wants a lookup value. So once again, I'm going to select here, hit F4, and then close that off. And what I want to do is I do want to have my upper function in there. So upper, and I don't need this tab reference, but I was going between sheets, so it wanted to grab that dashboard. But C3, and then the second argument to the match is the lookup array, and my lookup array is my object class. So I'm going to select this as well. All right. And then it says what type of match, less than, exact, greater than. I do want an exact match in this case. And now I'm back into my index formula, and the default is going to be for the index column number is going to be 1, and in this case that will work out fine for me. So I'm going to go ahead and close that off. When I hit enter, it's going to bring me back what I'm wanting. So 260.33.12, if you're in Deems, you know that 260.33.12 is GPC. So that's bringing me back exactly what I want. And then we want to do the same thing here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste to bring back my eq. And so instead of, if you remember from before, so this is going to bring back the definition, right? Now index and match is kind of the same thing. In this case, I'm not trying to index the title, so I can highlight this part here. I want to index my table tools or my tips. I want to index the eq itself, okay, and just hit enter, and that brings me the 61950. So except for the formatting and making it look a little nice, that is our template build. So go back and look at the video if you need to there's a lot that we talked about, but those are the bones and the details behind how Excel works with this template. Next video series, or the next series of videos, we're going to be pulling in data and making all of these things work for us. See you then.